I want the Yolanda survivors to get back on their feet.
We all have our struggles, whether you're rich or poor.
We wanted to write the Philippine experience of
Our
love.
biggest enemy is apathy.
My country to be an example.
I think I've always been deeply interested in people's stories.
In 1983, the assassination of opposition leader Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. bolstered the movement against Ferdinand Marcos's dictatorship. Ninoy advocated a non-violent revolution against the Marcos regime. His martyrdom fueled the determination of many Filipinos to pursue this non-violent path. In 1986, Filipinos demonstrated the power of a peaceful revolution known as the People Power Revolution by overthrowing Marcos, thus catapulting Cory Aquino to the presidency. Called the Saint of Democracy by Time magazine, she inspired the Filipino people to protest injustice peacefully and powerfully. Cory's success inspired non-violent revolutions across Asia and the rest of the world. This week on Profiles, we talked to 3 eyewitnesses about their memories, insights, and biggest lessons from the 1986 People Power Revolution. Tri-media reporter Bing Formento was director of the Ministry of National Defense Press Corps of the Philippines, working with the Manila Broadcasting Company's DZRH radio station and the Philippine Daily Inquirer. He was a key figure in reporting significant events as they unfolded during the 1986 People Power Revolution.
Na yun ng February, napuno na ito ng mga sundalo at saka mga media men. Pinapasok na kami sa loob, standby. And then, but before that, mag-start yung press conference na pinatawag nila. Ito na-start na yan eh. Ito na nung bago sila mag-declare ng breakaway sa Marcos administration, Enrile Ramos, na on-day ko si Enrile sa DZRH.
So kayo ang
exclusive.
nauna.
After that, doon na nag-start yung 6 o'clock na press conference. At doon na nagsimula magtatawag ng mga kampe si Enrile and Ramos na pumunta rito sa Aguinaldo.
Ano yung feeling nun? Siyempre, lahat ng press corps, kayo yung defense press corps, lahat nandito. So, talagang alam nyo may mangyayari.
Eh, siyempre kakabahan ka. Dahil armado lahat. Dumating natin yung mga sundalo rito. Nahanda. Fully armed. Nagdadatingan. At tapos ang news ng Malacanang. Magkakaroon ng World War na ng Malacanang dahil stand still. May order na Malacanang na sumuranda sila rito. At ayaw naman sumuranda. Meron pang word si dating Minister Enrile at Ramos na pinabababaan si Marcos sa Malacanang. And then si Ramos at that time, sinabi niya dito, sabi niya kay Marcos, your time is up. Yes. Sabi niya, yan ang word niya dito, your time is up. Pinabababa niya na yun.
Yes.
So, tumawag na si Cardinal Sin, si Cory Aquino, Cardinal Sin, nag-on-air na sa Reggie Veritas. Bukas pa yung Reggie Veritas, hindi pa masabog yun. At may nagbagsakan na yung transmitter ng Channel 4. So, ilan na lang ang radyong bukas noon na napapakinggan, ang radyong Bandido at saka ang DZRH.
Oo. Nung tumawag ng press conference, of course, you were there when Minister Enrile and General
Marami kami, at saka mga foreign correspondents, mga members ng FOCAP ang kasama namin dito sa loob.
Dito nangyari ito?
Dito nangyari sa loob. Open to eh. Punong-puno ito ng tao. Jump pack ito talaga ng mga tao. At doon na, nag-start sa loob. Nagpatawag na ng press conference yan. Para makikita nyo yung murals na ginawa nila, People Power Revolution. Itong memorial launch nito, malaki ito, buong buo. Ito, ayos na yan, the same.
At dyan kayo, ayan, eksakto.
Yeah, ito.
Tell us what was happening. Ano yung nangyayari mismo dito?
Nag-declare na sila ng breakaway sa Marcos regime, sa Marcos administration at that time. At doon na nagbibigay na ng mga instructions sila doon sa mga tao sa field, sa mga supporters nila, na wag nang sundin si Marcos. Ito ang talagang original na lamesang ginamit ng press conference dito na nangyari noong 22 of February. Itong lamesang ito. At ang suot na damit ni Enrile noong time na yun, ginamit niya ay ito. Itong damit na ito.
Jacket niya.
Itong jacket niya ito.
Bulletproof jacket.
Bulletproof jacket na ito. At si Ramos naman, yung blue na yon, at nagpagawa sila ng flag, inverted flag na ganito. Pero nung nakikipaglaban sila, the red, inakit nilang pa ganun, suot ni Greg Nasad. Sa lahat ng mga sundalo, ginamit nila yan.
Kaya alam nyo anong side kayo, no? Depending on the flag.
Pag ang flag nakataas, ibig sabihin doon ka sa forces loyal sa government. Pagka itong flag ng pula na sa taas, grupo ng mga Reformed Armed Forces Movement under ni Gringo Nasad. Ito yung mga ginamit nilang radio monitoring.
Wow, original Walkman
dito
radio,
yan sa mga
cassette recorders. Okay.
Tapos, ayan, nasuot ni Ramos na eyeglass. Maganda yan, nung panahon yun.
Signature eyeglasses niya talaga, no? Yun talagang yan.
At yan ang mga mikropono ginamit nung araw dito sa nakiparating ng mensahe ng Defense Department at ng AFP sa buong kapuluan. At ito ang imahe ng Mahal na Birhen na binitbit ni Enrile mula dito sa baba. Nagmarcha papunta ng Camp Crame.
Karga nito.
Karga niya ito. Dala niya yan. Hanggang doon sa kabilang na magmarcha kami.
So imagine it's been 30 years. Ano ang pakiramdam nyo? 30 years na, no?
30 years. Yung ang tinatanong ko sa sarili ko, ano ang resulta after the Edsa People Power Revolution? May pagbabago ba? Yes! Malaki ang pagbabago. Lumala ang korupsyon. Lumaki. Dahil nung araw, nung panahon ni Marcos, kontrolado niya ang corrupt officials sapagkat silang may kontrol eh. Nasa kanya ang power. Nasa kanya ang kamay na bakal.
Ano talaga ang kahulugan ng people power 30 years on, especially sa mga bata na talagang hindi nila alam?
Hindi nila alam. Alam mo ba, makita mo from 45 years old pababa, hindi nila alam yung nangyari noon eh. Dapat nilang malaman ang history kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganoon. Ano ang layunin ng nasabing people power na yon? Ano ang dala nun? Anong mensahe nun? Nagkaisa ang Pilipino noong panahon yon. The left and the right and middle, lahat ng sector of the society nagkaisa against Marcos para bumaba dito. Pero may resulta ba pagkatapos nun?
Actually, when we were there, we were shot at several times, and a 14-year-old kid was actually hit and he died.
Sarap mag-celebrate with Magnolia Chicken. Now available, Magnolia Chicken Smart Packs.
Kaya mo na ang Red Horse Beer. Lakas ng tama pero di wasak. #1 beer. Yan ang sarap ng Red Horse Beer. The #1 beer o ang tama.
Make every day special for the family. Mag-explore.
Team's just warming up. I'm just warming up too.
Mag-food trip.
Twist this lemongrass a little bit to get the oils and flavorings.
Mag-enjoy.
Yeah, man!
At mag-bond over the inspiring and vibrant stories in the lifestyle shows of CNN Philippines.
We will be talking about everyone's favorite topic, and that is love.
And create more magical family moments with Magnolia, a proudly Filipino brand that helps families celebrate goodness every day through delicious, memorable food experiences. Magnolia, celebrating goodness for 90 years.
Ano ang Petron difference? Lahat ng Petron fuels, Euro 4 na. May advanced additives pa. Petron Tri-Active. It gives better engine protection, better mileage, better power. The more you gas up, the more you save on fuel. Petron Tri-Active.
Sarap mag-celebrate with Magnolia Chicken. Now available, Magnolia Chicken Smart Packs.
Life is good. Yes, there's less hair and a few more inches around the waist. But there's also weekends.
naps on the couch, and lots of private jokes. I have no regrets. Zero. You see, that's the secret. Let go of the bitterness. Life is good, and life at 40, even better.
If you're interested in catching the most lovable, laughable personalities this coming election, then come to my new show entitled WTF! Wala talagang forever sa Malacanang. Here at the Ceremonial Hall, Marriott Grand Ballroom, Resorts World, Manila.
Hi, we are Boys Off the Record and In the Kitchen. And if you got a bad boy rep like DJ Tones, we're here to turn that around the fastest way possible.
You know, boys that cook well get a good guy rep.
This is the makeover you need, Poppy. Pure Foods Crispy Fried Chicken. Bam! It's quick and easy to enjoy. Fully cooked resto-style fried chicken, ready in 10 minutes. So crispy, so juicy. Yeah, man!
Bad boy to good boy in 10 minutes with Pure Foods Crispy Fried Chicken.
Chicken na lang ang fried chicken.
30 years ago, a young teacher, Nino Cinco, was among the throngs of Filipinos in Metro Manila who staged their own revolution to oust then-President Ferdinand Marcos. An amateur photographer, Nino decided to document the revolution and found himself in some very dangerous situations.
Nino, you were 26 years old during the People Power Revolution. Tell us what you remember about that time.
Well, I think what's quite memorable to me was the first night because we had no idea what was going on. And I was on my way to a friend's house to just record music. And eventually when Major General Ramos at that time, President Ramos, came in and joined the fray, so to speak, then I think the credibility came up and people started to believe them. And then Cardinal Sin had asked everyone to assemble at Isitan first. So we all converged on Isitan. And the next thing was to converge here at Aguinaldo at Gate 1. So we went, and then first night at Edsa itself already, there were not that very many people. And then overnight, things developed, and the next morning then, it started to snowball into this whole Edsa thing for the next 3 or 4 days, in fact.
Yeah, tell us about it. Let's look at some of your pictures, some of those iconic pictures.
Well, yeah, I took these pictures, and I've sort of arranged them chronologically. As you'll see in one picture here, there are not that many people in the morning of the 20th.
This is the day, the first day.
First day.
Yeah.
Just a few, probably more of the really loyal Cory followers on Edsa. And then as it developed, you'll notice that the crowds got bigger and bigger. And then for me, when I saw the soldiers with the Philippine flag upside down, then we sort of realized that, okay, these guys are serious. The Ram is serious already at that point. What I found a little iconic was, as you can see here, is somebody came over and just brought all these sandbags and put them on this vacant lot. And people, as you can see from all walks of life, even this lady, were filling up the sandbags to create these barriers supposedly to stop tanks. This was on one of the barricades. People had these printed out. It said, "Suko na, talo ka na, Marcos layas na." I took
It's
this
been
picture.
making the rounds, actually.
Yes, it's been making the rounds.
That photo.
So it's just a group of people there. And sometimes I look at these faces and I wonder where these people are now.
Tell me about what you were feeling when you see the tanks coming in. What was that moment like? Because you see a sea of people and suddenly huge tanks.
Yeah. Well, going down Edsa, and everyone had to walk. Well, and we were going towards the Ortigas Edsa intersection because they had said that the tanks and the soldiers coming from Mindanao. So we all ran down that way. And I got on top of his jeepney, taking pictures. And I think one of the most, how would I say, it's fulfilling or inspiring sights was people rushing down with their cars and parking to make them as barricades against these tanks, knowing that if a tank went over a car, like a Volkswagen Beetle, it would be nothing but just like a tin can. No? So this happened, it started the jam, but once you saw the tanks coming over the hill right in front of Poveda, that little hill, then you see tanks coming, you see soldiers fully armed in full battle grenades and everything, then you know that expression, totohanan to. Again, another very inspiring sight was the people rushed in, and the picture is here, that they went all around like a corral around the tanks and the people and blocked them. Okay, because one of the tanks even broke into Ortigas Avenue through the wall, and they were blocked there. And I think that's well documented already. I mean, people pushing against the tanks and all that. But what's not seen in very few pictures I've seen for EDSA was the troops in full battle gear and some other tanks were in that parking lot, and just a cordon of people surrounding them, like Custer's last stand, so to speak. And they didn't move, and they were being given sandwiches, flowers into their rifles, and things like that.
People always call this a peaceful revolution, a bloodless revolution, but you experienced otherwise. Tell us about that.
When people say bloodless, well, we always, we take it with a grain of salt, because we were on Scout Borromeo when the loyalist troops for the Marcos government had snipers on top of the towers. And actually, when we were there, we were shot at several times. And a 14-year-old kid was actually hit, and he died. Friends of mine had lifted him up.
That was beside you. That wasn't too far away.
Probably about 3-4 meters away across the street, those skinny type of thing. So it wasn't completely bloodless, so to say, from the perspective of a real rebellion.
What strikes you most? I mean, there are different generations. These are people who probably can't begin to imagine what it was like. What is it? What's this thing? Because now it's a very different day and age now.
Oh, it's totally different. I mean, I'm trying to imagine it backward in the sense, what if in '86 people had their cell phones and their smartphones and the cameras? I mean, you'd have millions of pictures or billions of pictures from that. Unlike now, it's people like me who just took pictures for the heck of it, reporters who were there at the time. I hope the kids don't have to go through what we went those days, waking up and suddenly there's no TV, there's no radio.
And do you think a lot has changed when you think about what the nation was fighting for, what people were fighting for, and you look at our country now? What do you see?
Well, honestly, I think actually what the ideals of EDSA 86 to this day are gone. They're practically dead. I wish they'd come back to that, because whatever the Philippines is today is what happened after 86 to this day. Many things were just allowed to happen, and it's become more of a common practice rather than the exception. So hopefully after this year, since it's election year, some changes might happen.
Yeah. Do you think that particular moment in time inspired you or pushed you? How did it change you?
Definitely for all of us, I think, at that time, who were really conscious about martial law, went through that. I would think that it was a really big transition because, you're used to being disciplined in that sense. If ever I miss anything, it's the discipline people had. Which we don't have now.
So having been a witness to all of this, what do you think is an important message that everyone should remember or know about what the spirit of People Power Revolution really is?
Yes, definitely. I think the spirit of 86 should be brought back, the real spirit, in the sense that we fought against something, which was the dictatorship at that time. We should not allow anything like that to happen again. Probably, I think, there should be some form of a constitutional change to address some of those issues which were knee-jerk reactions from the Marcos dictatorship. So we're still, the Philippines is still a real work in progress, so to speak.
Oppressed people around the world started thinking about the idea that they could overthrow regimes thanks to a live satellite feed of People Power in 1986.
You've reached the top, but you shouldn't stop. Pounding, penetrating, dominating. Take the multivitamins specially formulated for men. Take Rogen E every day. What would you do next? Rogen E for the man on top.
Sarap mag-celebrate with Magnolia Chicken. Now available, Magnolia Chicken Smart Packs.
So easy to make pancakes. So rich. So creamy. So fluffy. Plus, it comes with my choice of syrup. Maple, strawberry, or chocolate. Magnolia Pancake Plus. All in one for all.
Ang gusto ko sa pamilya ko, mag-enjoy. Mag-share. Mag-celebrate. Kaya ang gusto ko, Magnolia. Celebrate goodness every day.
Hi, Derek!
Hello.
Pwede natin unahan yung eating shots? Thank you. Pwede humingi ng tubig, please? Ay, thank you. Pwedeng taga-bye-bye? Pwede mas malaki. I'm ready, Derek! This is Pure Foods Chili Garlic Corned Beef. Classic Pure Foods corned beef taste with a kick. Spicy, garlicky with just the right hotness. Iba talaga ang hot. Pure Foods Chili Garlic Corned Beef. Ibang sarap.
Sarap mag-celebrate with Magnolia Chicken. Now available, Magnolia Chicken Smart Packs.
There are 3 levels to this competition. Yung una, yung trivia round. The remaining 2 challengers will battle it out in round 2. The last stand remaining gets to battle it out with his or her idol. Ready, set, go, go, go!
Pag-ibig Fund recently shared their 2015 report of accomplishments during their State of the Fund address held at the SMX Convention Center, Pasay City.
The focus of our report is the increase in the number of Filipino workers from the non-formal sector who have become homeowners. We want to really increase that number, and how do we do that? By making our loans more affordable. When we really strive to double the benefits for Pag-ibig members, our mandatory contribution remains at 100 pesos per month. For our now almost 16 million members, please do continue to support our programs, and we also continue to commit to excellence and integrity so that you will continue to trust your Pag-ibig Fund management. Thank you.
Oh, June, nandito ka pala.
Hi, tita.
Oh, sandali lang ha. Luto ko muna yung snacks nyo. Uy, gutom na pala si June.
Ang bilis ni Mommy with Pure Foods Chicken Breast Nuggets. From the freezer, just pop in the toaster. In minutes, crispy and juicy nuggets. Pure Foods Chicken Breast Nuggets. Just toast it. It's so easy.
American photojournalist Kim Komenich was awarded the 1987 Pulitzer Prize in Spot News Photography for his coverage of the People Power Revolution while on assignment for the San Francisco Examiner. He took more than 28,000 photos from 1984 to 86 on 4 extended assignments to the Philippines. Kim Komenich, welcome to Profiles.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
Now, you covered the People Power Revolution in 1984 to 86. Tell us, how did you get this assignment?
I was working as a staff photographer for the San Francisco Examiner, and I was made close friendship with reporter Phil Bronstein, who was already covering the story. I joined Phil a year later on the first anniversary of the assassination, and that was in 1984. So I started in 84.
Tell us about that time. Take us there. I mean, it was obviously very difficult. You were even creating makeshift dark rooms. You were developing your negatives in hotel rooms. What was that moment in time like?
Well, the thing people don't realize, even just at this point, 30 years ago, it was there was no digital photography. There were no cell phones, and whatever was what you saw in the newspapers was actually developed in a tray in a darkroom. It's
very difficult for the youth to grasp that now. Let's go through some of your pictures. Of course, you won the Pulitzer Prize for spot photography for some of them. So let's go through some of them now. If you could tell us the backstory about some of these key photos. You took a photo, like almost a top shot, actually, the rise of the opposition.
This was made from atop the grandstand at Luneta, and if you look closely, you can see there's a flatbed truck that has a statue of Ninoy there. That's always one of my favorite photos because as a photographer, you always want to get everybody's face in focus. That thing, if you stand close to it, you can almost see your own face. If you happen to know you're in the crowd, you could probably find yourself. One of my favorite photos.
Of course, very iconic here too. We saw the nuns who actually faced the military, and you have a very iconic one of that. Tell us about this one.
Right. Well, these sisters came from the Missionary Sisters of the Immaculate Conception in Manila. They came to offer crackers. I don't know if you can see the box that says mixed up.
Yes,
I mean, they were just offering crackers and water to the Marines. These Marines had come in from Mindanao. The military decided that it would be more likely that the Marines would not defect if they had come from farther away. So they decided to deploy Marines close to the military camps from bases that were far away.
And of course, the woman of the hour at this time, you took great photos of Cory Aquino.
That was one of the highlights of Cory's campaign was just hitting the streets in the Cory van, they called it. And this was in Cavite. And I remember it being a very hot day and having to run alongside this thing. And I'm not the most I'm not a marathon runner. Let me just put it that way. So it was a welcome relief to jump inside for a while. Again, working with Phil Bronstein, and Phil had made all of these contacts with the Aquino family and the campaign organization. That's what we look for. The picture, especially with Cory, the glasses, the twinkle in the eye, that's always what we tried to capture with Cory. She was just so special. And I think that's what people remember most about her is just the reluctant candidate who became an amazing, amazing leader.
Yes, imagine. And from that picture to the next one where she was proclaimed president, you took a wonderful photo of her when she was being sworn in. So tell us about that one.
Well, this was at Club Filipino, and it was one of the biggest whirlwind days of my life. I like this photo because it's the exact second she became president. You can see that her hand is still in the air. Her Doña Aurora is looking at her. Everybody's clapping. So there's this moment there where it's literally the moment she became president.
It's quite a book. I think this is actually something you published yourself through Kickstarter.
Yeah, so it's one of these labors of love. As most journalists will tell you, the opportunity for a journalist to get international travel has changed so much. It's very rare that you get sent anywhere, and it's very unlikely that you would get to go somewhere and do what I did, which was look up the people I photographed 30 years ago and ask them a couple of questions. What were you doing the day I took your picture? What was your life like under Marcos? And has your life changed in the 30 years since People Power? And that's the essence of the book.
We'll show one of those pictures. Tell us about this picture then as a child and then later on.
Yeah, so that was in Bacolod, near Bacolod City, near Murcia, and we were invited along with an organization called Save Our Sugar, and what we were taken to the fields. We actually slept in a cicada home the night, and then we were taken out to the fields, and that's where I met Riza, who's on the left there, as a 10-year-old girl. That was at a period where life was very tough. The sugar was not being planted, and some of the cicadas were being forbidden to plant their own crops for sustaining themselves. Now, I need to fast forward 25 years to see Riza on the right, and that's her baby Honeylove, and she has 9 children now. She's in her 30s, and they are now living in Victoria. One of the backstories is how we found People. The way we actually located her home was to hold up the print of her as the little girl, held it up to the window of the car, and when the mountains matched up, we pulled over. And then we asked if she was around, and sure enough, she was within half a kilometer.
Amazing. What's next for you? I mean, you mentioned the movie, the documentary, but say 50 years on, what do you plan to do with all of this, Kim?
Well, I often wonder if I'm ever going to get tired of working on this project. I mean, it was such a gift. I mean, if you think about this revolution, and I should mention CNN and the other international satellite networks, people started thinking about oppressed people around the world started thinking about the idea that they could overthrow regimes thanks to a live satellite feed of people power in 1986. If the power of peaceful mass action covered live on international television, I think that is something that Filipinos can be very proud of, and the fact that the world got to see them put their lives on the line to protect their democracy.
Exactly, and a perfect message we all need now, especially as we face the upcoming national elections. Thank you very much, Kim, for all you do and for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.